citizens of a democratic society, the opportunity to vote is one of the most fundamental rights we have. It's our duty to participate in the electoral process and make our voices heard through our votes. Regardless, a large number of the population has a very limited understanding of the candidates or policies they're voting for. By dedicating ourselves to educating our voters on the political process, we can ensure that the government truly represents the will of the people. It's long been customary for voters to show up to the ballot box with misinformation or without knowledge of the issues on the table. A study done by Pew Research Center concluded that 48% of U.S. adults often get their news from social media. Under these circumstances, many votes are made by people who are misguided or uninformed, which can lead to more serious consequences for our local communities and our country as a whole. One of the clearest examples of the dangers of misinformation was the insurrection on January 6th. The idea that the election had been stolen was spreading across social media like wildfire, and this sparked feelings of unrest and outrage. The misinformation spread online had direct, violent consequences offline that have forever impacted our country and even democracy itself. Yet the question still remains: what do we have to do to prepare future generations in order for them to become informed voters? The answer is simple: education. Civic education is imperative in order to ensure that every voter has an understanding of our government, their rights, and what they're voting for. In recent years, civic education in schools has significantly decreased as there are no mandatory federal standards that require schools to teach civics or social studies. This lack of civic education has a direct impact on knowledge about voting and how our government works. A survey done by Annenberg Public Policy Center concluded that 1 out of every 4 Americans are unable to name the 3 branches of government. This lack of civic education has a direct impact on knowledge that will impact voters as they come to the ballot box on the election day. By encouraging the study of civics from a young age, we can ensure that the votes on election day are deliberately and thoughtfully made. There are many successful civics programs that have already begun making a difference. The 1776 Unites program from the Woodson Center is one of the most highly regarded civics programs available. They highlight the fact that their nonpartisan program encourages students to think for themselves. As pupils are taught to lead with their unique opinions, it reduces the likelihood of activism without prior knowledge. Continuing the pattern of uninformed activism will only contribute to the spread of misinformation. Perhaps the most important of all, the increase of early voter education helps to create a more representative democracy. By encouraging education about the voting process, we can ensure that people of all backgrounds have the same awareness of the issues at hand. For so long throughout history, many groups have been silenced when it comes to issues pertaining to their needs. Ensuring that every voter has a strong voice in our government will be difficult, but it will allow us to finally hold our elected officials accountable to the diverse needs of the community. Early voter education is a critical component to maintaining the vitality of our democracy. Ensuring that every person has a strong voice in our government will allow our lawmakers to have more insight into the needs of the people. A deeper understanding of how these laws may impact us will motivate more people to cast their votes. Young voters play one of the biggest roles in shaping our future, and prioritizing civic education for these change makers will create positive results. By encouraging education about voting, civics, and our democracy, we can give various groups a platform on which they can use to stand up, speak up, and inspire change. Thank you.